Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly leadership lunch chat. It is Amy Vetter and Jen Wilson joining you again this week to talk about everything we have seen and felt for the week, or at least in 20 minutes or less that we can get in, because we never seem to get it all in. But both of us definitely wanted to start today about just mental health, something that we don't always talk about. So, Jen, do you want to get us started?
Sure. And first, along those lines, congratulations to everybody who just finished the 10/15 filing deadline and the completion of the world's longest busy season. Never have we had a sustained 10-month tax season, but we just did. And I want to acknowledge all of you for your perseverance. If you follow the tax Twitter hashtag, it sounded a little fatigued and a tiny bit grouchy the last few days, which we can appreciate. We know what those days, those last days of any busy season can be like. We want to acknowledge also all the people who aren't done yet. And they might be done with taxes because you had to be, but we've got all of our not-for-profit and governmental auditors out there issuing reports through probably the end of November. And then everybody's gearing up. I've been telling people now we need to rest and then regroup, reorient, and then make plans for spring because January will be here before we know it. So I'm blown away, Amy, that it's already Friday. I mean, I feel like you and I just stopped the recording from last Friday.
It's one continuous conversation.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast time is going. So I did want to just say that everywhere I turn, people are talking about how fatiguing all this remote is, and how there's like the relentlessness of this pandemic, and cases are up, and there's a lot of stress and a lot of just sick of it kind of stuff coming out of people's mouths. And the election, of course, is hitting that gnarly, nasty phase, which is brutal for all of us. And I just wanted to acknowledge first that I think those feelings are normal. And I don't know how any of us could get by without feeling them. But I also want to ask and call all of us to this emotional intelligence concept called self-management. And self-management is where I am self-aware, so I get that I am sick and tired of all this or whatever. I'm self-aware of that, but I stop in that self-awareness, and I also make plans to manage how that's going to hit other people.
Yeah.
And for those of you who own businesses, firms, you're in leadership roles, we have to be so careful who we're being and what's coming out of our mouth and what our face looks like, and just how much hope and
even with a mask on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Even with the mask on, especially with the mask on. I mean, I have these eyebrows that say everything to everybody about what I do. I wish they would be less of a tell. My eyebrows say everything, and so with a mask, if all you're getting is this, that's sketchy. So we just have to really think about who am I being and how is it hitting everyone else, and is it possible for me to shift who I'm being a little bit and be a little bit more inspired and a little bit more hopeful? Maybe I can't do that till I get some rest. Some of you, the fatigue is real, and you've had long nights and lots of weekends, and now you just need to catch up on sleep and, maybe stream some Netflix or something and eat a few good meals and just get it together before you're going to be able to regroup and bring your eyebrows up. But I do want us to think about that, because one of the weird things that we do in this profession is we wear the difficulty of our work like a red badge of courage. That was the hardest busy season I've had in 38 years. And I think that this year we would say it is okay, that isn't just a saying. It was really, really tough. But so what? And I don't mean to take away from your hardship, but are young people going to want to be part of our firms and part of our profession if they think that all it is complaints and negativity and woe is me and victimization and all that? What could we do to make spring better? Is there anything we could do in innovation or whatever to make spring better? So Amy, what do you think?
I have a few thoughts.
Yeah.
So I may go back a little bit on the comment of like, who cares? So I found many times during this pandemic, I've gone up and down emotionally myself.
Mm-hmm.
My businesses have been really hard to run. Keeping staff motivated when it's not the typical business cycles they're used to, and also having some changes in staff as well. That's been really hard. Changes in customer base as well, and realizing the hardships my customers are having in their businesses, and you don't realize how much you take that on yourself as well, because you become a container for them and have nowhere to go. And so I guess I have framed those times of to not be so hard on myself. So if I need time to feel sorry for myself, I scope it.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, the next week, I'm going to feel sorry for myself, and I'm just going to be okay with that. If I need to cry, if I need to go, not work as hard for the week, then that's just what I'm going to do. But I think it's putting guardrails around it and being really transparent if that's the space you're in. So
Yeah.
like that, because to your point, negativity can be contagious. So if you find yourself going negative for long periods of time, then you're going to create that in the culture as well, or you're getting frustrated and so forth. But if you find that that's the time to tap out and say, look, I'm not my best right now. And I'm going to be honest about it. And I'm feeling it too. And I think we all just need a break. And so, one of the things I talked about today for us to talk about was what to stop doing. And that goes along with this.
Yes.
It's like some of what creates the stress is that we're still trying to do what we did before in a business that's not operating like it did before. And if it's wasted time, your staff is going to feel like it's wasted time. You're going to be frustrated that you're not getting the results that you want. And those are the moments when you feel that bubbling point between you and your team that you're like, pause, take a deep breath. Let's figure out what to stop doing, because what we're doing is not working. And we have to admit that, and being really honest about what's not working. And, I obviously am a yoga instructor, and yoga is a big part of my life. I can tell you, for me, taking time away to do retreats or some sort of self-education that has nothing to do with continuing education. So let me just scope that as well. This is not A&A credit. This is just self-help credit, whatever you have to do. When I let my brain release in another way, all of a sudden I get re-energized and figure out again, oh yeah, here's an idea, here's a way. But when you keep pushing at something every day, when you're already stressed out, your brain just doesn't have the space to create the positive energy and to create the initiatives that you need to create.
Right. Well, and I've been, sort of saying I to the folks that I've been coaching, let's practice 3 R's right now as we come out of this, super busy period, and maybe some disappointment. There's always disappointment in busy periods, disappointment with each other, sometimes disappointment with clients who got their stuff so late, or, I don't know, just disappointment with systems, vendors. I heard some disappointment with some of the vendors whose systems were not making sense at certain points and weren't performing like expected. So, I've been saying, let's practice the 3 R's. Let's rest. And I think that's like, I started with it. I'll double underline it. If you're not rested, sooner or later, that's all no amount of any of this other stuff will work. If you rest first, then regroup, which is sort of this take stock. What could I stop doing? What doesn't make sense? What am I really upset about? Or what's really bugging me? And then, that in the regroup phase, you're planning, you're getting rid of some stuff, saying no to some stuff, maybe making some commitments to start some things like Amy suggested, some classes outside of the norm for your brain, which could include a class on, something related to wellness, or something related to bias, or something related to, I don't know, cooking, or, gardening, or I don't know what you do in the winter, I guess, because we're all going to have to think about that. But that regroup is really important. And then you'll be re-energized or refreshed, that third R. And I just want us to start really paying attention to the fact that we can't just be disappointed, tired, and sick of it and just operate day in, day out with that. It creates a hopelessness within ourselves and within others that I fear for our country, listening to everyone. I mean, the reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm talking to a lot of different people inside my work and outside my work. And there's this drumbeat of like, I don't know, this is really hard and this is awful. And, and just like a lot of hopelessness is starting to build.
Yeah.
And that isn't going to get us anywhere.
Yeah. And I think that comes back to self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
When you see those words coming out of your mouth over and over, then something has to change.
Yes.
So, that's the time to pause. And I think it's really where you can shift your energy is being proactive. And so one of the most important things people can do right now with their clients, customers, internal customers, is going out and being proactive and saying, how are you doing? How can I help? Having your staff going out saying, how can I help? That's the question right now. And that's also going to inform you of things that matter more than maybe some of the things that you're putting priority on. And if your prioritization is off from your customer base, then there's a gap that has to be filled. And this time period is a really important time period to pause and figure out what are those things in that gap that I need to do to serve better and make sure that my clients are served, and stop doing something else so I have the time to do it. Stop doing the things that is causing the frustration, the negativity. And what happens is when people feel more proactive, it's really important. I know, my yoga studio has gone through so many shifts during this time period. It's been fitness industry has been hit so hard by this. And there's been a few times we've had to step back and regroup. And then we'll have ideas, like I've had an idea in the last couple of weeks of something to do. And then I'm like, wait, does it make sense? Is it something that we should be putting investment, time, and energy toward without knowing? And so what I don't want to do is stress everyone out more and cause more issues right now. I want to make sure we stabilize and see, there's the things that we have to stop doing. And then there's the things that we can control and can't control. And right now there's a lot of things we can't control. And we've got to write those things down so that we don't keep pushing against things that we can't control and then creating more stress in the business. And we learn that by what's happening, in the world with COVID, statistics, informing ourselves by independent news sources, and going proactively out to our customer base to get the information that we need.
And our team too.
Yeah.
I love what you're talking about there, that listening tour idea. We've talked about a few times together, and the team too. The team has opinions and thoughts about what we should stop doing and what we might start doing, and getting their feedback on that, I think is would make tons of sense. I want to go back to this idea of rest and regroup. Part of that for some of us could be that we need to go talk to a mental health professional.
Yeah.
It could be that it's time to get a little counseling and coaching from somebody who understands the way, the psyche works and can help us with the regroup, like reprioritize and really get in touch with what's bugging us. And sometimes you can't process that at home and you can't process that at work. You've got to find a safe space to go and talk to somebody and let them have it. Whether it's a mental health professional or whether it's a coach outside your business, if it's related to the business, sometimes you just have to go kind of spill your guts to somebody that then lets you examine the contents and figure out what you're willing to swallow again. And this idea of journaling that you just mentioned, writing it down, great idea. Another wonderful way for us to regroup is to write down, I am grateful that, which helps us kind of remember that we have a ton of blessings. And then also, I am really tired of ... or I am really not happy with, or I am so disappointed that, and and then I would probably end that journaling with a few other things I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
So you don't leave on the low note of the stuff you're disappointed in or sad by. But sometimes writing those things down can make them seem smaller as you write them down, or even petty. But sometimes they can, you can recognize, wow, there's some big things here that I need to get to work on.
And I know what helps me too. So, and I will freely admit, I go to a therapist. I have for probably, and I've switched therapists during times of my life that, once you become too friendly with your therapist, you need another independent party, someone to shake you up a little bit. And I think it's important there's not a stigma around going to a therapist, because it's really important for your relationships, for your self-growth, all of those things. One other thing that definitely has helped me, and I think, again, it's putting it on paper, it's actually writing things down, is that to have a plan A and a plan B, that you have a way you want things to go. But if you also know, well, if that doesn't work out, I've got a backup plan to this, or I have another idea of which way this goes. Maybe it's plan A, plan B, plan C, whatever it is. But it can take some of the stress away of knowing, if I hit this fork in the road, then I know I'm going to have to pivot into another direction, and I'm prepared for that.
Yeah.
I'm prepared for what that looks like. I can envision it. I have went through the emotional turmoil of whatever that fork looks like, and I can be ready for it as a leader so that I can lead people through that as well. So I think it's important not to put all of your eggs in one basket, especially right now. If there's anything anyone's learned from this, is that you've got to be agile and have different options that you're thinking about structurally so that you're ready.
Yes. Agile / flexible, and I think that this pandemic has called us all to a level of flexibility that is probably way outside of the comfort zone for most. And I do think that there is a little bit of reconciling that needs to happen now too, that we probably aren't going to materially recover from this virus and get back out there until after next spring busy season, or summer or something, unless there's some miraculous breakthrough in the vaccine world or in the care of this virus. I think there's going to be a lot of remote work, a lot of strange continued new paradigm for us. And I think that firms that are reconciling that and just saying, hey, we're going to plan spring busy season to be in this kind of a work environment, somewhat blended, some of us in the office, but most of us not. And we're going to do a lot more remote client service for our clients in this spring busy season than we did last year, and more like what we did all summer and fall. And how can we prepare for that? And to really just kind of give into that. As and we can be agile and flex if a miracle happens and we can all run out and throw the masks aside and do whatever we want again, if that happens ever. But right now, to plan that we're going to be in this paradigm for the next 6 months or 8 months or whatever, and start creating your strategies around that. instead of allowing ourselves to be in this hopeful limbo that, I just feel like isn't practical, and it leaves us, I think, scrambling unless we just, let this plan A, I think, and plan B. Plan A better be, we're going to do a lot of remote work. And so how do I engage with my team? How can we implement some fun? How can we start figuring out how to ratchet this up to the next level of quality technology? How can we document communication expectations? I've been talking to people about communicating, how we communicate. We use email for these reasons. We use Teams chat for these reasons. We use text for these purposes. How could you sort of take what we've been doing and make it better? And that could be plan A. And then if we have a reopening in our society before the end of next spring busy season, you can flex and change your plans. But I think that would help too, is to make some commitments to where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are out of time, but hopefully this helps some of you start thinking through how we kind of shift and pivot going into the next few months. And thank you so much, Jen, for joining me another week. And we will look forward to talking to you next week.
Yes, glad to be with you, and rest, regroup, re-energize, especially rest. So have a great weekend, everybody.